Have you ever felt like your networking gas tank is on empty? Hi, I'm Greg Peters, the Reluctant Networker, here to talk to you about making connections with confidence. So, last week I was working with one of my recurring clients. They bring me in about once every 2 months or so to work on their training program, which is a week-long, full-day, everyday event. And I will admit, by the end of those weeks, I am usually pretty tired. Last week, though, was for some reason worse for me. It lasted the same amount of time, but by the end of the week, I was just exhausted. Every night I would come home and I couldn't keep my eyes open. I'm a night owl and I was in bed by usually 9:30, which for me is really early. So after the whole week was over, I kind of had to think about why was I so tired all the time? And I realized what had happened. You see, we moved from our normal location. They'd had a water main break, and so we had to relocate. And we were in a hotel. It was a beautiful hotel, great ballrooms where we were located. The problem was the space was just a little bit smaller than what we had had in our previous location. The problem with that is that there was no place I could go to be alone. Many people don't believe it, but I'm actually an introvert, which means I don't get energy from the people around me. In fact, it sucks it out of me. And if I don't have that quiet space where I can go and be alone, it exhausts me. And so it was interesting to see that actually in action. This happens to people all the time. You go to a networking event and you are surrounded by all these people. And if you are not an extrovert, then it can really just pull the energy out of you and you get worn out pretty quickly. Back when I started networking, I had about 20 minutes at any given networking event before I was done. So what can you do to really deal with that? Because obviously we still want to go out and network. We still want to go to those events so we can meet new people, but we're not particularly effective when the gas tank is on empty. So here are some ideas, some thoughts that might help you be more successful when you do attend those events. First of all, you have to know your limits. If you are strong and you can lift a 50-pound bag of flour, trying to lift 100 pounds is probably not going to be good for you. You probably hurt yourself. So if you know that you've got about 20 minutes before you're exhausted, be aware of that. Be aware that you need to get your networking done in that 20 minutes because after that, you're not going to be particularly useful for yourself. And some of the ways you're going to know that you're kind of running out of steam is you might finish a conversation with someone and then just think, oh, I don't want to meet any new people. Whatever it is inside you, you're no longer eager to go forward, or even as eager as you were. Because I know some of us, that's not a very particularly exciting thing, is to go out and meet new people. But just be aware of that. Be aware of what your limits are, so that you can work within your boundaries. Second of all, have a goal. When you walk in there, you need to know why you're there and what you're trying to achieve. See, a lot of times people, they go to these networking events and they don't have a real perceived end to it. And that in and of itself can be exhausting because it'd be like running a race and never knowing where the finish line is. You can't do it for that long a time. But knowing when it's going to be over, that a lot of times we can push through on. It makes it easier for us. So know exactly what you want to achieve when you get there. Do you want to meet 2 new people? Do you want to meet 3 new people? Do you want to have a deeper conversation with one person? Whatever it is, make sure you know what it is before you walk in. Okay, third, know how you can find relief. If you're a person like me that you don't gain energy from being around a lot of people in the room, you might need to step outside for a few minutes just to clear your head and relax. If it's a longer program, like you're at a conference or something, know where there is a location where you can sit quietly and just be by yourself and recharge. I always recommend if you've got the hotel room, if it's a multi-day event, you've got the hotel room, maybe skip a session, go up and sit quietly in your hotel room. It really is important because if you don't have the energy, you cannot make the connections. All right, finally, understand that this is just like any other muscle. You can build it. When I started out, as I mentioned, I had about 20 minutes in me before I was done. But now I can last about a day and a half before I'm just entirely exhausted. And that's a matter for you to figure out where, of course, where you are. But now, say you are like I was and you have that 20 minutes. Could you push it to 25? Just, meet one more person. Or maybe from the, if you're done at 20 minutes, maybe for the next 5, go find someone you already know and reconnect with them. Whatever it is, try to push yourself just a little bit, because each time you do, that boundary gets a little wider. And the more you do that, the more comfortable you're going to be, the more outgoing you'll be, and the less people will figure you're an introvert. Hey, I understand. Believe me, my gas tank gets empty just like anybody else's. Be aware of it, but don't let it stop you. You can be a great networker even if your tank only lasts for 20 minutes. All right, take care and hope to talk to you soon. Go out and make some great connections.